Hey everyone, welcome to Let's Talk About the POTS Life, your go-to podcast for all things POTS. Whether you're living with POTS or supporting someone who is, this is the place for you.
Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk About the POTS Life. Today we have Lindsay on as a special guest.
Lindsay is a special guest to us because she is a POTS Life graduate and she's in another state. So we're excited to have you today.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you found the POTS Life program?
Yeah, sure. So I was actually doing a Google search for Cleveland Clinic POTS program. It was after I had been diagnosed, but still wasn't making any improvement. And a lot of people had recommended that to me, but honestly, I had been to so many doctors and specialists and spent so much money. I was not sure if it was something I wanted to do. So I just Googled it, and the first thing that came up was an article about Kelsey. So I felt like that was an answer to prayer. So I read the article and did a free call with her, and then a couple months later ended up joining the program.
It's crazy how people will say, a lot of times I'll get emails or they'll fill out something on the website or schedule a call or something that it's late at night because it's like when you haven't felt good and people are like scouring the internet and then somehow I appear. I'm not sure how that works, but yeah, I'm so glad it did. And take us back. So before you found me in the POTS Life program, what did your journey to diagnosis look like and what led you up into being like, okay, I got to do something about it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how's best to shorten it because it's so long.
As most stories are, right?
So how it started was 2 Thanksgivings ago, so Thanksgiving of 2023. I had a really bad migraine that whole week, but I got headaches, so I didn't really think much about it. Looking back, I think I actually had COVID and didn't realize it. And then it was the Monday after Thanksgiving, I woke up and I just couldn't breathe. I felt like a brick was on my chest. I couldn't touch my chest. It was so weird. So I went to the doctor and they did an EKG and said my heart was out of rhythm and called 911 and sent me to the hospital. When I got there, they were like, "You're fine. You might have pulled a chest muscle. Like, just go home and take ibuprofen." Super weird. So I tried that. And then from then on, symptoms just kept happening. Everything from my lost feeling in my legs. I started losing hair, started having allergic reactions, of course, heart rate issues, joint pain. I started losing my vision and seeing weird things in my vision. Super scary. So I just kept going to different doctors. I got tons of tests done. I got all the scans, heart scans, brain MRI, blood work, everything. Really wasn't getting any answers. I started going out of state, was in the hospital a couple of times. And at one point, a doctor told me I had Lyme's disease. So I actually did the full protocol for that for 2 months. And then another specialist said, "No, you don't have Lyme's disease." So it was crazy.
And the protocol is a lot.
Yes.
So that's a lot on your body and taking those medications and stuff. So yeah, that's just added more complications.
Yeah, I took a lot of different medications that I probably shouldn't have been on. A lot, of course, like I said, scans and tests. It took about little over a year. And then I was finally diagnosed with POTS. My doctor just said, exercise, have salt, all the things that I hear now are so normal. And of course that didn't help me. And I, felt stuck. So then that's when I was debating going to the Cleveland Clinic or not. And then that's what made me decide to do the program.
Before, that day of the migraine or possibly COVID, did you ever have symptoms growing up, or were there like one-off episodes, or was this all totally new from that point on?
This is all totally new. Since my POTS diagnosis and doing more research and seeing some more doctors, I think I have the MCAS and EDS with it as well. Mm-hmm. But before that Thanksgiving, no, I was super active my whole life. I played basketball growing up. Actually, right before I got sick, it was ironic. That was like the healthiest I'd ever been. I was working out all the time, eating healthy. I used to hike all the time. So it was completely, literally, minus the migraine, woke up with the chest issues, and then everything was downhill from there.
And her story, I feel like, is so common to what we hear that everything was normal, or you were active growing up, or like our other guest, Meg, like best shape of your life. And then how can this happen? And I think that's probably hard even after this all happens mentally. I feel like some, and probably even myself, we were like, well, I'm healthy, right? I'm in the best shape. It shouldn't be that. But then your body is telling you something completely different.
Yeah, for sure. It was a shock. And like I said, I literally woke up with it. I mean, symptoms kept progressing, but like as far as that initial onset, literally woke up with it. And yeah, I mean, it was debilitating. I went from the week before that hiking and working out every day, and I was struggling. The joint pain and nerve pain was a big thing for me, which I don't hear about as much, but I mean, my joints would just like crumble. Like I couldn't even stand. So yeah, it was a shock for sure.
It's so wild how people's journey just varies so widely. You had an onset of symptoms and then like an extreme amount of symptoms after that, where other people go years and years with like little symptoms and then they finally like all come together at once. So it's like both journeys, I mean, I can't say one's better than the other, but they're just probably both like exhausting. Yeah.
I would say the theme of that I've been seeing on like our social media pages is it's so true. And I keep writing back to people, POTS bodies are so similar, but so different. So just because you see one thing works for one doesn't mean it works. And I guess I never even thought about it. The journey before the diagnosis is similar, but different. Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, we've had how many different people on here, and everyone's story is so different about even the symptoms that they have. That's why I think POTS is so tricky, because symptoms you were explaining, I have never heard someone else say before.
Yeah, especially too when you throw in, and I mean, this is just something we're seeing more and more, but the mast cell and then EDS. And I think it's very hard to determine what is causing what. And I say this all the time, but if that POTS monster, like that giant overwhelming top piece, is not under control, it is so hard to be like, is this all POTS pain? Is this all EDS pain? Is this all MCAS release of histamine causing GI issues? It's very hard to know what lane is from what, but once POTS is more under control, I feel like then you can really focus in on, okay, EDS is bothering me this way, or yes, MCAS is getting me this way. And I think to her point about the joint pain, what I tend to see, not that EDS pain isn't real, it 100% is real, but when people walk in and say, this is only my EDS, and I have to say, let's just like put a pin in that there, because from my own experience, I couldn't get off the floor because my joint pain hurt so bad. There was so much pain that came with POTS that until I got better, then I'm like, oh, okay. And people usually see then what still bothers them from EDS, but in most cases that joint pain significantly improves.
Yeah.
When you started the program, were you hesitant? Were you, you were very active. So were you a little taken back that I only put you on the bike for a few minutes?
Yeah, I would say honestly, at first I was more scared to start just because I had seen so many doctors and, like I said, spent so much money. And I honestly, if I'm being transparent, was like, is this a scam? Is this legit?
1,000%. I would have been the same way.
Yeah. So I did wait like a month or two, just trying to decide about that and the money. Then once I started, I remember one of the first exercises being laying on the ground, which I don't know why I thought that was easy because I couldn't do much, but I guess just seeing it built out in the app, I'm like, okay, this is dumb. And I laid on the ground, and I'll never forget, I couldn't hold my leg up for the 10 seconds. And I think that's when it fully just hit me. Not, like I said, not that I was doing well because I couldn't do basic tests, but just to put that to the comparison of, a couple months, a year ago, I was hiking miles and lifting weights, and now I can't lift my leg. I think it really opened my eyes at how much it happened in such a short amount of time.
That's the mean part, right? It's not that you're frail, but you'd become so weak so fast because your body things just kind of come out of control. And you're right. I always say to people in here, I had two just starting the program today, and I said, listen, I know you're going to go home and feel real great about yourself in the car because that first day with the straight leg raises and even clamshells, you know, these simple, air quote, simple exercises are very difficult when you do them the right way. And if you're doing them the right way, they should be difficult. But it's mentally hard when you're right. You were just hiking and you were just doing all these things. And now, you know, you're struggling with those exercises. I've had a lot of people that said they went home and cried because they're like, oh my goodness, is this really where I'm at?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
It's more like, I think it's a mental thing at that point, right? If nothing else, that maybe you're not really necessarily weak. Your just body's not able to do the same things
Correct.
anymore. And if you're thinking like, okay, this was Thanksgiving, I just had a headache, I thought. And then now I have this life-changing disease. And okay, but like a month ago, I was doing normal things. So like what happened in that span of time? How did my body get so bad this fast that I can't hold my leg up? Yeah.
That's what's crazy and mean about it, because it does come on for a lot of people so fast. Like, this is not an uncommon story. We hear it a lot, whether it's, you know, and I hate to say that it wasn't a terrible thing, but like, you think like, okay, people get migraines. How did that turn into this? You know what I mean? It wasn't a catastrophic surgery or a catastrophic accident. It doesn't have to be. We see it from all different things. I've had people donate blood. This kicked it off. The sniffles kicked it off. So I think sometimes there's a misconception that it has to be some crazy situation that this comes on, or yes, we do see concussion and flu and things like that, but it's also, like Lindsay, these unknown situations that just bring POTS to the forefront, and then, you know, everything has changed.
Yeah.
So you started the program on the app. Tell us about when you had like a light bulb moment, or like oh wow, look where I'm at today.
Yeah, I would say maybe about halfway through the app, I started to really notice significant changes and felt like I could really tell that it was making a difference. I used to really obsess about having setbacks. I remember I got the flu one time and I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to ruin everything. But that's when I really started to notice all the small changes were helping, and I could do basic tasks more. I live alone and 4 hours away from my family, so that was starting to be a strain of like getting groceries and doing chores and all of that. And I could start to see improvements there, even if the exercises were so hard. And then, of course, after halfway through, I started seeing myself be able to do actual physical activity a little bit better.
I forgot about that, because you did get sick in there. And I think it's only normal. And I say sometimes I think it's almost worse when you are feeling better, because you're like, okay, I'm on a roll, and most of us are type A. So you're on a roll, you're feeling good, and then you get sick. And I think it's like a fear, or it's a scary feeling to be like, oh my gosh, I never want to go back. I never want to go back to as low as I was. And you weather that storm and you get better and you can, you know, get back on track. But I think it helps having that support telling you like, hey, it will get better. Hang in there. This is normal. Because I think once you taste some sort of normalcy or improvement, you just never, it scares you that you never want to feel that way again.
Yeah, for sure.
It is a scary feeling. I mean, even not so much now, but I can tell you, even a year post graduation, you'll still feel that way. You'll still be like, oh my gosh, am I going to go? Even if I get like a baby symptom or something here and there, I'm like, oh, is this it? No, Kelsey, I know it's not. You exercise. I do all the things to put me in the right position, but I don't know. I think when you just never want to hit that lowest of lows ever again, because it's a sad place to be. Like you said, you're away from family. It really complicates things.
Yeah, it does.
They become more of just little speed bumps when those symptoms come up, where you can just get over it and move on and put it in the past, where in the early days, they're more like pitfalls.
Oh, highs
Craters.
and lows, especially on that first day. Like when you start, I say it all the time, you're at the lowest of lows, right? We know that. My goal for when you start exercising is, if you picture a mountain, we're going to go up, but it sure as heck is going to have bumps. I think we're realistic in that on the podcast and through our program, that it's going to be bumpy, because that's just life. But we never want you to go as low as you are on day one. And if we drop a little bit, we're also here to help pick you back up. So we really, we never want to see that place again, because it's not, been there, done that. It's not a good feeling.
No.
So you've moved through the program. We got halfway. Tell us about the transition to the treadmill. What did you think of at that point?
I remember once the bike started getting super long, it's like a dread. I'm like, keeps getting longer.
Yes.
So at first I was excited to have something different. It honestly depended on the day for me, which I still see. It's crazy. I feel like I can have days where I feel like I can walk an hour, and other days I can't do more than 10 minutes, which I still see sometimes. So it depended on the day for me, but I did better at taking it slow. I think when I started the program, it seemed too slow, or I wanted to hurry up and get better, and that actually made it worse. So I was good about taking small steps and doing it slow on the treadmill, which helped me be able to work back up to walking more.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like I think the feedback is a nice transition if people want to do it, that now you have the opportunity, because Britt always says it's a lifestyle change, that, now you have the choice of doing the treadmill or doing the bike. You have a little bit of variation dependent on how you feel. Yeah,
for sure. That made me feel a little bit more normal, since walking and hiking and playing sports is what I did. So it made it feel like, maybe more progress and something new. And I wanted to be able to do that before I was out of the program, to have the guidance of how to do it before I graduated. So that was helpful.
Yeah, and once you get to that hour on the bike, it is long.
long.
It's a long time.
It is a long time. It's funny when people start. Today we had 2 just starting, and there was a gentleman who was here for 50 minutes, and she looked over and she goes, "Are you on that for 50 minutes?" He was like, "Yes." I said, but he, and it's cool though to be like, no, you will get there, and you'll get there confidently, and then be able to wean back down and have now your maintenance dose, and, to have a plan post graduation.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you tried hiking again?
I've done short hikes, nothing like I used to yet, since I guess I've only been graduated about 2 months.
And it's cold now.
Yeah, like the shorter ones. Again, kind of depends on how I'm feeling. Sometimes I feel a lot closer back to normal, and other times I still do struggle. But I've done shorter ones, not super crazy inclines, but I've done some, but hopefully able to do more soon.
Yeah, and especially going through the winter. And I mean, I tell people all the time, you're not done improving at the end of year 1, right? Even it'll be 5 years in April that I was diagnosed, and the improvement that I saw even from the end of year 1 to now. I actually just got my license picture retaken, and I was holding them up, and my husband said, I said, "Which one do you think is the old one?" And he looked and he said, "I can tell that one." And I said, "Why?" And he was like, "Look at your face." Because I had just gotten it after I was diagnosed. And at first I was like, what does he mean? And then I looked, and you can almost see it in my eyes. Like, I just don't look well in my picture. And then I almost look like younger and healthier, however many years later. So it just goes to show you that improvement keeps coming, and you will be able to go and do, and it's, you continue on that path. And I can only tell you, like, it just continues to get better from here. There's still hiccups, there's still illnesses, there's still normal life stuff, but like Britt said, they're like little baby bumps compared to what, it had been in the past.
Yeah, I agree.
If you could give some advice to someone that is just thinking about joining the Protz Life program, what advice would you give to them?
I would definitely tell them to do it. Of course, I feel like it helped me so much. My biggest piece of advice would be do it when you don't feel like it. I
love that.
I met a lot of great people in the app, some of which I still talk to, which has been super nice. But I also met a lot of people, that didn't do it or made excuses. Of course, there were times I had the flu and physically could not. But, there were most days I didn't feel like doing it. And I think hardly missing days did help me, and the consistency, at least for me, really mattered. But would definitely encourage people, if you're going to do it, stick to it. And also that it does help, even if it feels like in the beginning it's not making a difference. Everything does help in the end.
It is true. That's a hard thing to do, right? When you feel terrible, I think people look at me sideways when we're like, well, I know you don't feel good, but I want you to go get on the bike. And that's so different than anything else. But yeah, I think that's such a, like, do it when you don't feel like it, because that is POTS, right? Or that is POTS treatment, I guess. You have to do it when you don't feel like it. But I forgot that you had those connections outside the app, and you were part of the ones that, like, have connected. And I think, like, Britt and I talk all the time. That is not, who would have even thought, right? Yeah. We just are so excited. That's a new piece.
Yeah, it's been really helpful. I still talk to people, some of which have graduated or haven't, a lot of different paths, which I feel like we can all help each other. And I still talk to some of the people, like, weekly. So it's been great.
Yeah, and just checking in, because other people get it, right? It's hard to understand until you feel it. And I think once you do, it is. And then you can just be that voice to other people, like, hey, hang in there. That's what this podcast and the whole POTS Life program is about. Like, hope. It can get better. We know it's bumpy, but we're here to walk with you through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, our last question is, if you could use one word to characterize your life now as a POTS Life graduate, what would that be?
That's hard.
You can have a few words if one word is too. That's been a tough one lately.
Yes.
I was going to say maybe like a change in perspective. I feel like, this journey has made me change my perspective. It's, of course, made me a more thankful person. I just think of all the things I took for granted before, like just doing normal things. I would have never thought I would go through this. So I've had to be more thankful. I've had to, when I have bad times, sometimes I'm like, oh, like Kelsey said, like, I'm going back or I'm never going to get better. But, I try to see that in light of where I was, even if I have bad times or there's things I can't do. If I compare that to 2 years ago, I was doing none of this. So it's just really made me have a different perspective, both physically, just emotionally, mentally, everything, really just a different outlook on life. And I feel like it's changed me a lot.
I love that, because that encompasses everything that we hope that people get out of it, right? It just changes your perspective. It gives you hope. And you're right, looking back, instead of I can't, right? I can't do this. But then you look back and you're like, wow, I am doing this. Maybe it's not exactly perfect yet, but you continue on this path. Honestly, you just continue to go up from there. And I say this all the time. I mean, year 5, I can't even imagine what I'll be in 2 years. Like, you continue to be able to do more and build, and you have such a solid foundation, and you've done a great job putting in the work, and you're continuing to do the work. So that's a hard year, right? It's hard. You should be proud of yourself. It's not easy. It's not easy, especially when you don't feel good. So yeah, I'd love to see you thriving, and I hope in spring you're able to hike more, and imagine the progress you'll make in just a couple months of winter inside, and then look out, spring. She's coming to hike.
Well, thanks so much for being with us today, Lindsay. It was a pleasure chatting with you.
Yeah, thank you all.
Yes, we are so thankful that you joined us, and, just can give another unique perspective to everybody out there that's either in the program or thinking about joining.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us. We're also on our YouTube channel, so you could stay up to date with more episodes.
Yes, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.